Hey guys, Serac here. It's the release date of the Crystal Beast structure deck, bringing with it a host of reprints, including Ash Blossom, Dimension Shifter, and Ghost Bell. I've put together a deck using pretty much just cards from the structure decks with a few additions to make a Crystal Conclave control deck. This deck is very heavily inspired by Neshi. Please check out his channel for more things Crystal Beast. But without further ado, let's get into the profile. So, we start with 3 copies of Sapphire Pegasus. Pegasus, when it's summoned, gets to place 1 Crystal Beast from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell and trap zone as a spell card. If it's destroyed in a monster zone, it goes to the spell and trap zone, as do all the other Crystal Beasts. This is the best card in the deck. It's not once per turn. Every time you summon Pegasus, you get to fill a spell and trap zone. It's a wind monster, which allows you access to Lightning Chidori, which is a really good removal piece. And it's obviously a fairly good... it's the main play starter for the deck on its own. Next, we have 3 copies of Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. This is the actually good Rainbow Dragon. If it's destroyed in a monster card zone, it goes to the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. And then if you declare an attack involving a Crystal Beast monster, special summon this card from your hand. If it's a continuous spell card, special summon 1 level 4 or lower Crystal Beast monster from your deck, but negate its effect. And if you do, add 1 ultimate crystal monster from your deck to your hand. This allows you to search your copies of Pegasus, provides you a big beater for ending the game, and of course, still goes to the spell and trap zone and can be searched with Pegasus. 1 Crystal Beast Ruby Carbuncle. If it's special summoned, you get to summon as many Crystal Beasts as possible from your spell and trap zones. This allows you to make some game-ending pushes and make some big link plays or Xyz plays. We then play 1 Rainbow Dragon as an ultimate crystal card that we can search. It's very important to have access to 1 ultimate crystal card because we need it for certain spell cards to have their effects go off. So we have to play the 1. Then we have 3 copies of Ash Blossom. This card is in the deck, so this card is now cheap. And now it's not quite as good, but we have space for it, and Ash Blossom is still a nice hand trap to have access to. You know what it does. If they add any effect that sends a card from deck to graveyard, summons from deck, or adds a card from deck to the hand, you can discard this card to negate it. That is it for the monsters. We now go on to Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, normal summon, allows you to normal summon 1 Crystal Beast monster in addition to your normal summon or set. And then, during your main phase, destroy 1 Crystal Beast card you control or in your hand, and if you do, add 1 Crystal Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. So it can destroy your Spell Trap zone Crystal Beasts, which is really important. And then if a Crystal Beast goes to the Spell and Trap zone, even during the damage step, you can return that card, 1 card your opponent controls, and itself, and return them both to the hand. So this gives you some extra disruption as well. Three copies of Rainbow Bridge. This is an amazing searcher. Add 1 Crystal Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. No more to say about it. No once per turns, no nothing. Searches every spell trap in the deck, apart from Rainbow Bridge of the Heart and Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. We don't ever want to see Rainbow Bridge of Salvation in our hand anyway, so we're fine with that. Three copies of Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates. Reveal an ultimate crystal in your hand. This is why we have to play 1. Then activate 1 of these effects. If you control an ultimate crystal, which we never will, you can activate both. We can either take 1 Rainbow Bridge or Rainbow Refraction and add it to the hand or send it to the graveyard, which is normally what we're doing. Or we can special summon 1 Crystal Beast from hand, deck, graveyard, or spell and trap zone. It's either extension or it's extension, in the sense that we get to search a copy of Necrovalley and lock our opponent out of the game. 1 Crystal Aegis. This allows us to destroy a Crystal Beast we control, and putting it in the spell trap zone, and then make a token. If it's in the graveyard, we can banish it, and then special summon 1 Crystal Beast from the spell trap zone. Very nice to allow us to set up big pushes with Ruby Carbuncle. Nice as a one-off. One crystal bond lets us search any crystal beast from the deck to the hand and then put a different one into the spell and trap zone. 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. This allows us to dump Rainbow Bridge of the Heart to the graveyard, which is really important for the way the deck plays. 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Card draw is card draw. Ideally would be Prosperity. Extravagance is significantly cheaper, even after the reprint. For our field spell targets, we play the 1 Mystic Mine and the 1 Necrovalley. If you wanted to make this even cheaper, cut the Mystic Mine and replace it with a Zombie World instead. But these are the best 2 to play. Necrovalley really hoses tiers, and Mystic Mine just hoses absolutely everything. Then we have 1 Call by the Grave. Very nice to stop hand traps, stop tier effects going off. Very universally good card. You know what Called by the Grave does. For the traps, this is quite a heavy trap deck. We have 3 copies of Crystal Conclave. If a Crystal Beast would be destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon 1 Crystal Beast from your deck. You can send this face-up card. It has to be face-up, so you can't activate it and immediately chain this effect. From field to the graveyard, target a Crystal Beast card you control, and 1 card on the field, return them to hand. This is how we control the game. By being able to bounce a Pegasus repeatedly, and keep our opponent off their cards, usually backed up with a floodgate like Mystic Mine, or Dweller, or Baguska, we can constantly keep our opponent off doing things, and slowly whittle down their life points to end the game. 3 copies of Crystal Miracle. This is a counter trap that destroys a Crystal Beast card you control. It destroys it, so it goes to the spell and trap zone, or you can destroy one in the spell and trap zone. Negate the activation, destroy that card. Phenomenal card. If a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap zone while this card is in your graveyard, even during the damage step, banish this card, place 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in your spell and trap zone. So it gives you some more extension, ensuring you keep Crystal Beasts in rotation, and is an incredibly powerful Omni Negate for the deck. 1 Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. This is how we search those broken field spells. We only care about the graveyard effect at all here. The other effect is irrelevant. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Crystal Beast monster and 1 field spell from your deck to your hand. You can only apply each effect once per duel. So this lets you search Necrovalley or Mystic Mine, depending on which you need, or if you want to play Zombie World instead, it can search that if you have lots of Flunder players at your locals. So, phenomenal in the graveyard. It gives us access to Pegasus and a field spell, and the fact that it searches any field spell ensures that we can play Mystic Mine. At least Mystic Mine wasn't banned, hey right? Finally, for the main deck, we have the 3 Infinite Impermanents. This card is obviously much cheaper now. The fact that we are relying mainly on structure deck cards means we can afford it in the budget, and it's just, again, still a really, really strong card. This on a normal summon under something like Necrovalley or similar can really, really impact your opponent's ability to play the game at all, especially if you couple it up with something like Crystal Conclave to ensure that you just bounce any extension they have access to. So, that is the main deck. The extra deck is very, very flexible and not the most important thing, but there are 4 critical cards I feel you should run in the extra deck. The first 2 are Abyss Dweller and Baguska. These are your floodgate cards. Abyss Dweller for tier, Baguska for everything else. So Baguska in defense position changes everything to defense. They can't activate their, well, it negates their activated effects. And if it's an attack position, it can't be destroyed by card effects or be targeted by card effects. So very, very good for things that rely on their normal summon or so on to make plays. Dweller, on the other hand, obviously locks your opponent from any effects that activate in your opponent's graveyard. This is obviously really, really good against tier, and the fact that we have easy access to Dweller because it's very easy for this deck to put 2 level 4s on board is really, really useful for the deck. The other two important cards that you need to play are one copy of Lightning Chidori. This is a really nice removal spell, or removal piece, that we have access to through Pegasus. It's non-destruction removal. It gets rid of problematic set cards as well, something like if they've set an Imperm or a Tearlaments card, can force that out early, and can be just very, very disruptive to your opponent by just getting spinning stuff back to the deck rather than destroying it. The final card I feel you have to play is a copy of Dugares. Dugares has multiple useful effects in the deck. One, it can double a monster's damage, so through doubling something like a Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, you can easily OTK your opponent out of nowhere. Or it can draw 2 cards, discard 1 card. This is most important if you've drawn the copy of Bridge of Salvation, because it lets you put it into the graveyard from the extra deck. We play Nightmares, you can also play Nightmares, you can play Barricade Board Blocker, but you need a way in the extra deck of discarding cards. The other 11 cards in the extra deck are basically up to you. Any mix of rank 4s, useful link monsters, things that can help you OTK, so Nightmares, a rank 8 like Dingirsu is good as well for Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. Other than that, it's very, very flexible. Just fill it up for your chosen pot of extravagance, or if you have prosperities, that as well. So that is the deck. It's a very, very quick whistle-stop tour of Crystal Conclave Control. I hope you enjoyed it. It's obviously a very cheap, and maybe it's not your idea of fun, but it definitely will be someone's idea of fun, and I hope you enjoyed watching the profile. Thanks for watching.